Hey, what's up you guys? You're watching Team APS, Paul here. And in today's video, we're gonna be talking about the 5 best cards from Extreme Force because as you guys know, the leaks have been coming out this week. The set comes out in just over a week. And so I thought I would just count down the cards that I think are gonna be the chase cards, the money cards, the things that are really worth picking up. And before we get started, I'd also like to let you guys know I'm gonna be doing a box giveaway of Extreme Force when it comes out, thanks to TCGplayer. It's gonna work like all my other giveaways have, Ungleam. There will be information about that all in the description of the video. Just check out the links. So yeah, be sure that you enter that as well. Card number 5, Pendulum Paradox. So this is a card that, some people say it sucks, some people say it's good, or it doesn't deserve to be a secret rare, or whatever. But Pendulum Paradox is actually super interesting to me because it gets back to Pendulum monsters from your extra deck that have the same scales but different names. And when most people think of Pendulum cards right now, they think of Pendulum Magicians because, that's kind of what's going on right now. It's the big deck. But honestly and truly, Pendulum Paradox can actually work in a lot of different decks. It works really well in the Mythical Beast deck that comes out in Extreme Force. All of those monsters are like scale 4. So despite the fact that they aren't really a Pendulum-centered deck, this can still act as a really easy way to recover them from the extra deck. And I'll talk more about Mythical Beasts in their own video and like when I do a deck profile of it, because I do want to build that deck. But yeah, Pendulum Paradox, really useful in there. It actually also works in a lot of other older Pendulum archetypes as well. What most people tend to forget about most of the Pendulum archetypes is they usually were designed with the monsters being one of like 2 scales. So like Dino Mist, I believe they're all either scale 3 or scale 6, maybe with like the exception of 1. Cleaforts are all scale 1 or scale 9. So you get the idea. It's usually really easy to just recover 2 monsters that do have the same scale in different names because that's how most of those archetypes were made. And I think that also really makes Pendulum Paradox a good card even if Pendulum Magicians are to say get hit. Because, people think on a ban list, well, maybe Pendulum Magicians will get nerfed and all this Pendulum support will suck. But there are still very other interesting Pendulum archetypes out there. Cleafort's got another card in this set, so it goes to show, Konami is still investing in Pendulums in general. And of course, Pendulum Paradox is searchable by Duelist Alliance. It has Pendulum in the name, so if you're running that card in your Pendulum deck already, and I imagine you probably are, then this is one more really good card to include. I think that for most decks, it'll just kind of be a 1 of, maybe a 2 in something like Mythical Beasts. But that's totally fine. If it's a secret rare and it ends up being expensive, it means you only need to have like 1 or 2 copies. And I actually don't think it'll be all that much because a lot of people are kind of overlooking this card a bit. So yeah, Pendulum Paradox is definitely worth picking up. Card number 4 is Inspector Border. So this is actually a really cool anti-meta stun card and one that I'm really interested in seeing like where this card goes, right? Okay, so it's a level 4 light machine and it has 2000 attack and defense, so really good stats. You can't summon it if you already control a monster though. That's normal or special summon. But while it's on the field, neither player each turn can activate more effects than the number of monster types in the field. That is Ritual Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, Pendulum, and Link. So let's break down exactly what that means. All right, if I'm going first and I summon this card, just normal summon it out to the field, there are no Link monsters, Pendulum monsters, Synchro, etc. None of those types of monsters in the field. So that means I can't use any monster effects this turn. And also, you can't use any monster effects this turn. So now you can't use Ash Blossom, you can't use Ghost Ogre, you can't use any other hand traps. So now I'm free to activate, say, my Terraforming, or my Rhoda, or my Upstart Goblin without it getting Ash Blossomed or whatever, without a Drone Lockbird activating, because they can't. Then, when it's my opponent's turn, there are still no extra deck monsters or Link, Ritual, any of those on the field, which means that they aren't going to be able to use any monster effects until they can somehow get one of those types of monsters on the board first without using those. So, if they've got like spells and traps that help them get out monsters, maybe double summon 2 things, make an Xyz or whatever, fine, then they can use a monster effect. But until then, they can't. I think it's actually a super, super interesting take on stun because in an already anti-meta deck, this could be extremely oppressive. Imagine combining this type of card with stuff like Thunder King, Fossil Dyna, any barrier statues, Banisher of the Radiance, your typical stun cards, Tinko Sekka, honestly. This could get really, really dangerous. And the fact that they gave it really beefy stats so it can stand on its own and really swing over a lot of small stuff, because it's probably gonna put your opponent a bit on the defensive, that's really great. I think this card's cool. I like that it's here. People were disappointed this card was a secret rare. I think it's fitting because I feel like even if it's not the best card in this format, people have this problem with looking at cards super short term, and I'm not a big fan of that. I feel like if a card looks like it has potential, it looks like it has potential. It might not be today, but it might be next format or 2 formats down. And then you're gonna be like, oh, why is this card so expensive and hard to get? I can't get any copies of Inspect Border. Yeah, because you threw them out and thought that they weren't worth trash. So yeah, definitely worth like picking up. If you get it at your sneak peek, I think I would hold on to it or see what you can do with it. It might be good in the side deck. Card number 3, hey, Trunade. So first, let's talk a little bit about this card's name. Everyone hates this for some reason. I love when Konami gives dumb names to Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It's just the best because people get mad. I don't know why. Like, don't you guys love playing like, you know, totally awesome to negate someone's magical something? Real talk, I think that they actually do this just to troll us, but it's pretty cool for those of us who open products because like when I pull a secret rare Hey Trunade, literally what am I gonna say? Hey, Trunade. Am I the only person who gets this humor? Hey Trunade is a cool card. It's basically a nerfed giant Trunade. It takes out some of the degenerate combos of like bouncing continuous spells and traps back to your hand, but it still offers all the other benefits. So if you need to clear your opponent's board before you do an attack or before you make a big play, it's there for you. No more torrential tributes, bottomless, you know, the mirror forces, all those types of cards, those are gonna be out of the way. And that's really awesome. Something actually that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about is the fact that this can like save you from, say, a set rotation. You know, people who are using that might like give you Oracle of Zephyr or whatever that you can't activate, Gateway to Chaos, and it's just set face down on the field. You can actually use, hey, Trunade, and bounce it back to the hand, which means that your field spell zone's free. Stuff like that is actually like kind of cool to me. And it's a secret rare yet again, which means it's probably going to be expensive. I mean, it feels like a staple. There are naysayers who are like, oh, well, no one plays traps right now anyway, so, you know, why should I bother with this card? Don't, like, be so quick to assume that. We've actually seen in some recent regionals that, you know, cards like Floodgate Trap Hole, cards like Bottomless Trap Hole, there's actually an article on TCGplayer about these cards. They're picking up in some popularity, even if it's just in the side deck. I feel like if the game slows down, I mean, if we get a ban list that maybe makes traps more of a relevant thing, then this card will be huge because, you know, if you ever had to deal with a field of like solemn cards, right? Like, geez, this would be great against counter fairies. If you ever have to deal with like a field of solemn cards or just a lot of annoying, pesky traps, this will be something you want to have. So if you pull it, don't just assume it's like a bad Trunade and it's not good. Hold it. This card's actually pretty legit. Card number 2 is Saryuja Skuldred. I think I said that correctly. So, this was, you know, Skulldeep, the chain Draco Serpent or whatever, but this is the new name. This card is definitely going to be, in my opinion, one of the new just Link Force staples, alongside Firewall, Borload, Topologic. So I like the way that it's designed. You want to make it with as many different named monsters as possible. So, yeah, you get more effects if you do. If you only use like 2 different name monsters, then it just gives things that get summoned to its zones like 300 extra attack and defense. Not that bad, but I mean, you know, whatever, right? It does give you 3 slots, but meh. If you use 3 different monster names, then you get to special summon a monster from your hand. And that's once per turn, which is like pretty cool. That's a good combo extender that can get more monsters out on the board for you. So, you know, not bad. A lot of decks actually use this in some of their plays to extend combos, but it can even give like a lower tier deck just some help. It's like the Ancient Fairy Dragon effect, you know, just being able to get something on the field helps. And then if you use 4 different names, you actually get to draw 4 cards and then put 3 of them in the bottom of your deck in any order. That's huge. That's like even more than a Graceful Charity, really getting to like filter your hand and just pick all the good stuff and just put everything else back. I think that's huge. It's even a plus, and that's always good. So this is going to be a card that I feel will just kind of end up in most extra decks. It's just a Link monster that if you have the resources to go into it, it's usually going to be worth it. I kind of do like that they made the summoning mechanics a little bit challenging, so it's harder for people to just go like Scapegoat and then make it. I mean, they can still do that by like making some different series of monsters with like Gofu or Grinder Golem or Scapegoat, but you're a little bit more hard pressed. You'll have to commit more extra deck space, and that's not always the thing people can do. So yeah, Skuldred, a really nice card. Actually, the monster that's going to be on the new regional mat, and I hope that I can win that because it's a pretty cool mat. So yeah, definitely going to be one worth picking up. And card number 1, you probably already guessed, is Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. So we all knew that, you know, this is kind of the chase card, the money card, the big dog of the set for very obvious reasons. Pendulum Magicians. But don't just stop there with this card. This card actually helps all Pendulum decks. We know that, Magicians can abuse it super hard. They can get way more pluses than I think is ever healthy for a deck. But the fact of the matter is, if, say, Pendulum Magicians were to get hit on a ban list, I still think this would be a really great card to have. I mean, for decks like Dynamis, for decks like Cleforts, for decks like Performapals, all of just the latent Pendulum decks, even Mythical Beasts, which come, in the set as well, I mentioned before. This card can work for all of them. And of course, wow, don't let me forget Metal Foes. But yeah, this card is actually really good. It can basically search you any Pendulum monster that you want from your deck by first putting it in your extra deck and then recovering it by popping one of your cards. You can recover any card too, which is great. And then when one of your Pendulum cards goes to the grave, you get to draw. So you can actually get a lot of pluses if you are playing Pendulum Magicians. They'll get their effects when they're popped, and then you'll get your graphs, and you can chain this with like Astrograph, and there's some crazy things you can do. But I mean, I really do think this is great. I know some people are also unhappy that we didn't get like Crystron Needle Fiber in the set as well, but I'm kind of glad that they both aren't in here. That would have been a little bit crazy. So yeah, the number one card for me is definitely Electromite. It's gonna be the huge thing at the sneak peeks. I've seen pre-order prices at like $75. I hope it doesn't stay that high. I don't feel like it's that good, but I mean, I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, those are my top 5 picks from Extreme Forest. I'm going to be doing several videos over the next few days about Extreme Forest, just the different decks from the set, some different cards, like underrated things I think people are overlooking, and maybe just a video about like whether or not you should buy the set as a whole, because it's a very polarizing one. Some people really like the set, some people kind of hate it and don't think it's worth it. We'll talk about all of that. And just a reminder, I'm going to be doing a box giveaway of the set, so be sure, look in the description and enter it for yourself. It's going to go on for 2 weeks, so do that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you should just do that. All right, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you guys liked it. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's. Be sure to give a thumbs up if you did. Let me know down in the comments, what are you excited for from Extreme Force, if, anything at all. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, and subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh videos. I'll see you guys in the next one.